spreadsheet, the first and the half sheets are in there for your information if you want to review those as well, but I'm going to work from the spreadsheet this morning. On the first page, there's one capital amendment in Senate Bill 29. Senator Dance had an amendment for VCU related to their construction of the School of Engineering Research expansion. It's for additional revenue bonds, and that's just based on DGS did a review, and that's what's actually needed to complete the project. That's an existing project. Turning to the next page of the spreadsheet, we'll quickly run through the capital amendments in Senate Bill 30. The first is for George Mason University, improvements to the technology network infrastructure. That's for $10 million in bond proceeds. You'll notice though that in the system it's not picking it up right, so you're not seeing the dollars in the spreadsheet, but that does in fact have dollars. The second item is detailed planning at Longwood University, and it would authorize them to use the non-general funds of $1.4 million in the first year for a renovation of an environmental health and safety facilities annex building. It's in their 6-year plan. Moving to the next item, detailed planning at Radford University for the construction for a Center for Adaptive Innovation and Creativity, and that would be for $4 million.
Is that non-general?
And the language though does direct that we would reimburse them if it gets approved for construction in the future. Next item. That's typically what we've done in the past. Next one, Senator Dance, number 4, has a amendment for VCU for the life science building roof and HVAC replacement, $6 million. The next one, BMI, it's for the renovation of the superintendent's quarters, $2 million. That would be revenue bonds. Next one, VMI improve and expand the Clarkson McKenna Instant Replay booth, also revenue bonds related to requirements for the NCAA Southern Conference. Next item, line 7, construct core physical training facility phase 3, also revenue bonds. Next item, Virginia Tech detailed planning for a data analytics and decision sciences building, $4.5 million. Turning to the next page of the spreadsheet, number 9. At Virginia Tech, this is for, under the extension, it would be for a seafood agricultural research extension center and redevelopment, $2.5 million in the first year for that project. Next one, line 10, Senator Edwards, Virginia Tech detailed planning to replace Randolph Hall. Next item, number 11, it's for Jamestown Yorktown Foundations to improve the SHIP visitor experience, and also has to do with some requirements related to the life of the pier decking. Next item, line 12, Senator Ruff's amendment. This is for planning at the Danville Science Center, $500,000. Line 13, pre-planning for also for the Science Museum. This would be for a Northern Virginia Regional Science Center where there is been land that has been proffered for that purpose. Next line 14, this is behavioral health, Senator Dance's amendment, and this is for Central State Hospital Phase 1, and it's for Phase 1, which would be in this amendment $50 million, but you might remember that there's detailed planning in the introduced budget for that project. Yes, general funds, or well, this would be bond proceeds, but supported with general fund debt. Line 15, Senator Stewart has one for Caledon State Park improvements for $2.6 million in bond proceeds. Line 16, Senator Black has one for DCR to acquire land and expand the Loudoun County State Park, $2.9 million. Line 17, Senator Hanger's amendment. Under DCR, this is a language amendment to remove the restrictions on land acquisition. Turning to the next page of the spreadsheet, line 18, DCR, this is for $3.6 million in general funds to acquire land for Highland County State Park. Line 19, Senator Hanger, this is also a language amendment to remove restrictions on land acquisition. Line 20, Senator Stewart's amendment, this is for Widewater State Park Phase 2, $7 million in bond proceeds. Line 21, Senator Surville also has one for the same amount, same bond proceeds. Line 22, this is Senator Reeves, this is for military affairs for the National Guard Army Aviation Support Facility, $4.5 million in general funds first year. Line 23, Senator Carrico's amendment, this is for the state police for a tactical center in Withville, this is $300,000 in general funds for the first year. 4, Senator Vogel, State Police, Area 13 barracks replacement. This is for $400,000 in general funds the first year. Line 25, Senator Edwards. This is for equipment funding related to Virginia Tech's Growing Research Institute in Biosciences. Addition, you might remember there's a pool of funds related to equipment for projects coming online, and this one was inadvertently left out, and it will be coming online during this biennium. Line 26, this is for detailed planning for a Learning Resources Center at Virginia Highland Community College. Line 27, Senator Dance has an amendment for STEM building at VCU. Line 28, Senator Stanley has a capital outlay amendment for planning or detailed planning for the Institute of Advanced Learning and Research. This one is in the introduced budget, and this changes the required match from other sources from 50% to 25%. So it's a language amendment, but has a increase in cost in the long run. Next page, line 29, Senator Hanger has an amendment related to the Stormwater Local Assistance Fund, and this would provide $50 million in bond proceeds in the first year. Line 30, Senator Locke, this is the last capital amendment, has an amendment for Fort Monroe Visitor Center, and this allows for a portion, or $6.5 million of a previous bond authorization to be designated and appropriated for the post library or as a visitor center. And that concludes the capital amendments.
Do you know the source of the non-general fund? We'll do that later for the park acquisition with Caledon. Is that just a private money coming in?
No, that would be bond proceeds.
Bond proceeds?
For the, are you talking about the?
Caledon.
For the park improvements, those are bond proceeds.
Okay.
After concluding capital, if there are no other questions, I have.
How much can we afford to go?
Well, you might remember that there's still about $580 million in debt capacity.
I remember that.
But what I would say related to that, to the degree that you change, whether there's a provider assessment that lowers it by about $20 million, and there's some other actions that would also lower your available capacity. As you might remember, we're negative in 5 of those years, so you're sort of borrowing from future capacity.
And there's currently about $1 billion worth of authorized and unissued debt from prior sessions. There are no further questions on capital. Turning to the general government section in Senate Bill 29, I'm going to do the first one. Adam will do the rest. On line 1, Senator McDougal has a request for $200,000 in the current year. That is part of a broader proposal by the Division of Legislative Automated Systems for a approximately $10 million replacement of the legislative bill tracking system and the legislative information system.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, now moving on to line 2. So this would provide $160,000 each year for IT system changes pursuant to 2 bills from last year, HB 1713 and 1044. Line 3, there is $250,000 general fund each year for the completion of Phase 2 environmental site assessment report for the CBTC. Line 4, there is actually 2 amendments, lines 4 and 5. There's $2.1 million in FY18 for the decertified DRE machines that were decertified in September 2017. Moving down to line 6, there is $75,000 in 18 for a COLA for program contractors with DARS. Line 7, there is $350,000. That should just be 18.
Forget that.
For the 2 SEC commissioners?
That bill was.
Okay.
That completes the amendments to Senate Bill 29. Turning to Senate Bill 30, in the legislative branch that encompasses the requests on lines 1 through 6. $16,000 for a request for a study of the conditional rezoning proffer reform bill. I do not know the status of that bill. It includes $50,000 in each year for sexual harassment training, as proposed by Senator Sturtevant's legislation. It includes $35,000 to fund per diem and costs related to the proposed Henrietta Lacks Commission, Senator Stanley's amendment. Senator McDougal has a request for $400,000 in capital improvements and $100,000 each year for the conversion of one position at the Division of Capitol Police from a part-time to a full-time public information officer position. The little amendment on line 5 speaks to the replacement of the legislative bill tracking system that I mentioned earlier. And on line 6, Senator Servo has a $20,000 request for a study at the State Crime Commission regarding DWI conviction case.
Moving on to line 7, there is $525,000 each year for criminal waivers in the Supreme Court. They're projected to likely run out of money towards the year end based on the number of waivers that are coming through and the number of approvals that are being
Is
made.
that like on those capital murder cases? and
Yes.
stuff
Yes,
where
sir.
they can not capped on the fees?
Yes, sir. And moving on to line 8, $200,000 each year for additional drug courts for a clinician, staff, and operational support for increased demand of drug court program. Line 9, there is $191,000 in the first year for JDR search capacity in the court systems contingent upon SB 564. Line 10, there is $160,000, and this is for IT system changes for House Bill 1713 and 1044, and you saw that same amendment for SB 29. Line 11, there is roughly $592,000 first year, $267,000 the second year to relocate the Supreme Court's data center. Currently resides in the Supreme Court building on 9th Street, and they are seeking to move there. I think that is yet to be determined.
And how do we know what it's gonna cost?
Couldn't answer that.
Follow up.
Follow up. So moving on to line 12, there is $2.3 million each year to provide for judicial positions in the circuit courts based on the NCSC report for 2017.
That's 2 judgeships?
That would be 8 judicial positions. Yes. Line 13, there is $288,000 that would reflect 1 circuit court position in the 16th Circuit. That's indeed.
Do you know where that falls in the NCS though, in the national state?
I don't have that information.
Not very high.
Line 15, $300,000 each year, and this is a vacant circuit court judicial position in the 31st Judicial Circuit in Prince William County. Line 16, this is $300,000 for a vacant position in the 31st Judicial Circuit. Line 17, $160,000 in the second year, and this is IT system changes, and this is House Bill 1713 and 1044 of 2017. Line 18, this is $2.6 million each year for 10 General District Court judicial positions, again, 2017 judicial workload assessment recommendation. Line 19, $263,000 each year for a judgeship in the 19th District. Line 20, $512,000 each year for 10 General District Court clerk positions based on the judicial system staffing model. Line 21 is $2.9 million each year, and this is for 11 JDR court positions based on the NCSC report. Line 22, we have $274,000 each year for a vacant JDR court in the 19th Circuit or District rather. Line 23 would be 10 JDR clerk positions, $500,000 each year. Line 24 is $10,000 each year for per diem for meetings for the proposed advisory board on philanthropy and social innovation, which was Senator Wexton associated with the Bill SB 445. Line 25, $300,000 each year for the AG to hire additional staff in anticipation of a bill. I'm not sure if that bill. Not sure
How
the bill
much
number.
staff over there, all these federal lawsuits they're getting involved in?
Fairly well said.
Bill passed, but the funding part is out.
Oh, it's with the clause, okay, those are
No,
gonna be.
it was the
Oh,
money
well,
requirement
that's
was
right,
pulled
that's
out.
right, yes, sir, okay. Line 26, there's $100,000 each year for the board for purchases of services from people with disabilities. And this was McPike's bill, and I believe that he actually stripped out, there was a substitute that removed the cost associated with that as well. Line 27, this would be $191,000 each year for the savings system to make systems changes that have already been implemented in 2017. Line 28 would provide $2.4 million each year for 31 permanent positions and 50 temporary positions, both years for the Hampton Roads Regional Jail. Line 29 would provide $6.2 million the first year and $7.5 million the second year for funding for 195 law enforcement deputies in the first year and 12 additional deputies in FY20 to meet the staffing standard requirements set by the compensation. Line 30 would provide roughly $33 million the first year and $32.3 million the second year to increase the salary of all sworn deputy sheriffs by $4,371. That would increase it from $31,600 to $36,000, which represents an increase of about 13.8%. And then there's funding included to adjust the salary increase after 12 months from 4.5% to 5% for newly hired deputies. Line 31, there is a mix of general fund and non-general fund dollars. Would fund the comp board's portion of costs associated with strengthening Medicaid enrollment, an application process for Medicaid eligible adults and juvenile inmates. That's pursuant to HB 2183 of 2017 study recommendations. Line 32 provides an increase in per diem payments to local and regional jails of $8 million each year. And there are two amendments, those are identical on lines 32 and 33. Line 34 is $53 million in the first year to provide the comp board of funding to local and regional jails to fully fund the cost of housing state responsible inmates. And this is contingent on SB 342. Line 35 provides the full funded state shares of 134 deputy positions and local commissioner of the revenue offices. Line 36 provides funding for 17 deputy positions and local commissioner of the revenue offices. Line 37, $36,000 each year to fund the offices of the commissioner of the revenue to make temp positions to permanent full positions in Craig County in the cities of Galax and Norton. Line 38, this is $29,000 each year to fund full participation in career development program for all eligible deputy commissioners. Line 39 provides full funding, $228,000 each year for 17 commissioners of the revenue positions. Line 40, $300,000 each year for 25 deputy treasurer positions. Line 41, $740,000 each year for 134 deputy positions in commissioner of the revenue offices. Line 42, $200,000 non-general fund each year, and this would provide additional Commonwealth's attorneys for from the insurance fraud fund in for multi-jurisdictional assistant Commonwealth attorneys positions. Line 43, and this is just a language amendment that would correct the amount of NGF from the technology trust fund that's used by circuit court clerks. Right now they're using some general fund that's the NGF fund is supplanting general fund dollars for those expenses. Line 44, excuse me, there is $1.9 million first year and $1.5 million the second year to eliminate the current use of the technology trust fund dollars and fully support those operating expenditures with general fund dollars. Line 45, $900,000 each year for 142 deputy positions in local offices of the treasurer. Line 46, 25 deputy positions in offices of the treasurer. Line 47, $21,000 first year, $23,000 the second year for full participation in the career development program for treasurers and deputy treasurers. Line 48, $900,000 each year for 142 deputy positions in offices of the treasurer. Line 49, this is in the next biennium, $570,000 for the CVTC Phase 2 Environmental Site Assessment Report completion. Line 50, $100,000 each year for an state employee job satisfaction survey. This is one of the Retirement Security Pension Reform Commission recommendations. Line 51, $150,000 for DHRM to develop incentives, public awareness campaigns, and other materials to encourage people with disabilities to apply for state employment. Line 52, there is language for a DHRM shared savings incentives program whereby consumers would be financially incentivized to pursue lower cost healthcare providers. And that is there would be a report due by November 1 of 2018 on the implementation of that program for the state employee health plan. Line 53, $839,000 each year for an adoption leave benefit program, and that's consistent with Pseudolines SB 262. Line 54, this is authorized health coverage through LODA for children and spouses of those who were formerly covered when the localities administered the policy. Line 55, $106,000 each year, and this is for photo identification, other information that would be reflected in electronic poll books that would reflect the cost of administering that, and that's SB 523. Line 56, there is $100,000 in the first year, and this is for the SB 559, and this would be a return military overseas ballots to the system. We currently provide military ballots overseas, but we don't have a mechanism to actually retrieve those military ballots that are voted upon. Line 57, there is an amendment that would fund Department of Elections to modify to allow a candidate who's been nominated by a political party or primary to choose to be identified by the name of his political party. Line 58, $10,000 the first year. This is related to SB 720, which directs each county, city, and town to review the assignment of voters within its jurisdiction to ensure the voters are assigned to the correct districts. Line 59, there is $8,800 the first year, and this is to add qualification staffs into ballots, and this is related to SB 4. Line 60, this amendment provides, let's see, $8,800, and I'm not sure. There we go. So this adds account numbers on campaign filing forms. Line 61, there's $700,000 each year, and this would raise the salary scale of general registrars to that of, I believe, local treasurers. Line 62, there's a study, language study, that would direct the looking at general registrars' salaries in relation to other local constitutional officer salaries. Line 63, there's $100,000 in the VEC for consultant services associated with a directive for the VEC to develop a paid family leave program, and that's for 790, SB 790. Line 64, there is, well, that's SB 495, which has been continued to 2019. That's Carrico's deputy sheriff. Line 65, $50,000 for the Red Ticket Commission. Line 66, there is the language that would direct tax to convene a work group to examine the timing of payments and return filings required to registered retail sales dealers, and to consider policy options related to the AST. Line 67, $50,000 each year, estimated need for administrative costs associated with garnishing tax returns of independent contractors. Line 68, $3.5 million the first year, and this is the claims bill, the Norfolk 4 claims bill. Line 69, this is the Henry County, this is in the Treasury Board, this is for the 25% state share of the state's state share of that capital project in Henry County. So the Board of Corrections approved the proposal on May of 2017, and it includes a mental health wing for separation of these prisoners in that additional bed space. Line 70, there is $3.3 million NGF each year, and this is to provide level funding out of the wireless E911 funds for localities who share in the PSAPs funds will be reduced by the new funding distribution formula starting in July 1 of 2018. Line 71, there is an amendment that directs VEDA to prioritize new and emerging technologies available to agencies in the provisioning of IT service. Line 72, there's $350,000 each year, and this will provide funding for SEC commissioners. Line 73, this is passport fees collected by clerks of the court. So this would have a small general fund, negative general fund impact as a result of exempting passport fees collected by clerks of the circuit court from the calculation of those excess fees paid in the state treasury. They would be allowed to keep the fees generated by doing the passport, issuing passports out of their offices.
Right.
Line 74.
Yeah, Adam, I'm going to interrupt and say that the patron of line 74 asked that that budget amendment be stricken, same as the bill yesterday. So.
Oh, thank you. All right.
It already was.
Where are we? Line 74. So this is government employee expert witness fee at Senator Serville actually struck the substitute bill yesterday. The amendment corresponded actually with the introduced bill. There are some concerns about this given the cost that would be incurred in Department of Forensic Science and the Office of the Chief Medical Officer associated with having to pay or recover the expenses associated with providing that expert testimony. Line 75, and these are all bills that have been reported, line 75 through 79, reported with the clause. And that completes the sheet. So.
Any member of the subcommittee have any questions regarding that quick run through? Anything else, Madam?
Mr. Chairman, I did just want to point to two handouts, two directions that would be on top of your notebook there. ABC responded to the questions you all posed previously, so there's a handout on that. And then the folks from Henry County Jail have left you with a brochure related to that. That's it.
Thank you for those handouts. Anything else? Any member of the subcommittee have any other items? If not, thank you all very much. And with that, we